In this video, I'm gonna walk you through the #1 model that businesses are using right now in the agency space to take small one-off projects and make them into long-term, high-paying partnerships. It's called the revenue expansion model. I'm gonna show you how it works, the results that we've seen from implementing in our own business, also in 130 other plus businesses. And I'm gonna show you how you can implement this into your business in 2025 and make more money with less clients, do more work that you love, and stop chasing down those low-paying one-off projects and start building a business that you always dreamed of. So no pressure. You want to take this model and just go apply it in your business and just go make a whole bunch of money. That's perfectly fine. But if you want help actually putting this into your business, click the link below, book a call. If not, just subscribe for more value and let's get into the training. Normally what happens is if you're a videographer or video agency owner, a client hits you up for a project, or they're like, hey, we're interested in getting some marketing done, a video, whatever, right? And so normally what we would do then, or what you would see people do, is there would be step one would be to connect with them. And, then from there, you meet them at an event, or they're an inbound website inquiry, you meet them through social media, whatever. And then from there, if you're smart, you schedule a discovery call. Now, a lot of people get this wrong for 100 different reasons. Number one, they're not framing the call. I'll get into that in a second. So they're not doing that. Number two, they are only investigating the immediate project. And these are things that they're not doing. So they're not framing the call properly. They're only investigating the immediate needs of the client. They're not getting the BANT. So what is that? Budget, authority, need, or timeline. So they're not framing the call properly. They're only investigating the immediate project. They're not getting budget, authority, need, or timeline. And then to make matters worse, after this, let's go back to this part of it over here. Their next step, can you guess what this might be? Send a quote. Boo, this is bad. This is really, really bad. And here's why. Because the second you send off that quote, number one, you better hope that your proposal is really good. If you even have a proposal. A lot of competitors that I was competing against when I was, in the throes of scaling our video agency to 70K per month, they were just sending out a literal price sheet. So they would just put in 4K camera, $457.67. And assuming that the client cares what their camera costs, assuming that the client cares what their lens that they're going to use is, you're not in Hollywood. You're selling video to a small business owner who's never looked at a camera in their life. They don't know anything about cameras. All they care about is getting results for their business. And now, if you're going to sit there on the call and be like, Landon, everyone cares about what kind of camera I have. This is the wrong YouTube channel. Go on some filmmaker's channel that wants to, this is not the place for you, because this is for people who actually want to get businesses results, not just, pat themselves on the back for investing another $20,000, $30,000 into some more camera gear. Nothing wrong with that. By the way, I'm pro investing in yourself. I love cool camera gear, but the big difference between me and a lot of the other video quote unquote gurus out there is you're going to find is that while they're obsessed with trying to get oh, well, you have to get the client to see your value by how expensive your gear is. Guys, that's a joke. It's a joke. And it's actually completely counter to what the client cares about. That's the thing. And so I'm making this video to show you guys that it's not actually about the camera gear that you're buying. They don't care about it's a 4K camera, a 6K camera, they don't care. So you've got that. Now, there's a huge gaping hole in the rest of this here too. So they're not doing discovery properly. They're sending a quote. So what happens past this point is a giant question mark. Client could ghost you. You're essentially passing off you're passing off all the control, and you're saying, hey client, take it or leave it. And then what are they supposed to do with it? What if they have questions? What if they want to negotiate? What if they have logistical problems? What you actually put on the paper. Let's assume that you were smart enough to, and if you're doing this, it's kind of a coin toss. Let's assume that you're smart enough or putting in enough effort to actually do the strategy. You actually put some video strategy into this. And let's say hypothetically, if you were to put some strategy into a deck before you send it off, let's say that they would have a slight disagreement with you. Let's say that they maybe wouldn't be all in on this strategy that you just kind of pulled out of thin air. Or maybe you did a good job of asking questions and you put the strategy, but fine. They could still have logistical problems. They could still have strategy problems with it. They could have had a team member who just left the company who isn't actually going to be in the video, or they're changing this person around. There's so many different logistical problems, not to mention the fact that if your strategy isn't tight or it's not exactly what they wanted, do you guys start to, are you seeing how many things you're leaving to just be questioned? And this is a huge problem. And like, I see filmmakers, cinematographers, DPs, I see all these people doing this. And I see even video agency owners, people that are actually getting business results for businesses. I see those people doing it as well. They've been sold this stupid lie that people care about like what your gear looks like. And it's just a mess. Like everything that I'm seeing videographers do in terms of like proposals where, you know, they're trying to win business. The problem is they're focused on selling the wrong thing. Like they're selling video, and maybe that'd be actually an upgrade. A lot of them are just selling the fact that they have a camera and they can shoot and edit. They're not even selling the outcome of video. They're just selling the outcome of like, hey, I worked really hard at my skill. Please pay me for my skill. And that works if you just want to be, you know, a slave to day rates for the rest of your life. But that pricing psychology was based out of Hollywood. That pricing psychology came out of a place like Atlanta, Hollywood, other places where the film world is really like booming. So naturally, if there's a high amount of people that are in a city that are trying to like be on set for these big productions, well, like, yeah, like you have to democratize the pricing somehow. So people say, well, this is my day rate. Do you want, you know, take it or leave it? But the thing is that they're basing that understanding on like, there's going to be unlimited opportunity everywhere. And not to mention, let's say that people can't afford your day rate or your day rate is too high. Well, then automatically you're just like shutting off that percentage of the audience. And some people would be like, oh, well, you know, got to pay my rate. It's like, dude, if you got paid $1,000 a day, you're capping out your income if you worked every single day at what? Let's say that you took some holidays off. So 350 grand a year, you're going to cap yourself working every single day. Basically, you're capped at 350,000 a year. Is that what you want? That is not at all what I wanted when I got into this business. I wanted to build a business that actually gave me financial freedom, that actually allowed me to buy back my time, but still get business owners incredible results, still use this amazing tool of video to go make money and to go help other people make money in the process. So part of the issue of sending off a quote, obviously I'm rambling here, but part of the issue with sending off a quote is that like, there's so many things missing. Like there's so many missing conversations. There's so many things left to question. And you can't possibly put everything into one document. Hence the reason we're going to do something completely different. So I'm going to stop there for like the crappy old way of doing it. And if you've done this before, it's no shame or anything, but like you need to do it differently. And I'm going to explain why, because well, hopefully you've seen a little bit of why, but I'm going to explain a better way so that you never have to do this again. And you don't have to listen to stupid filmmakers on the coast tell you like, this is just how it's done. And then those are the same people. They're like, it's just the industry, man. It's up and down. It's like, it is if you're not smart. But like, there's a better way to do it. So let me show you how to do this. So the way that we teach this is called the revenue expansion model. And it's really simple. And like, again, this is the stuff that people put in like, they'll put behind a paywall, they'll put behind, an opt-in wall. Guys, I'm literally just I've been working on this for a while. I'm just going to give it to you all of it. And if you want to work with our team and implement this into your business quickly, just book a call down below. Let's get into it. So if you're using the revenue expansion model, this is how it works. So first and foremost, you're going to start off with number one, which is connect. So connect is really simple. This is an inbound conversation, could be an outbound conversation. You meet them, out and about. They're an inbound inquiry on your website. There's always a connection point. So it's not that you necessarily do anything during this phase. I'm simply showing it in the timeline of how the actual sales process is laid out. Then after that, we get into discovery, but we call it the expansion call. So during the expansion call, and like, by the way, if you're going to talk to a client, like don't call it an expansion call, call it discovery. But I'm going to show you guys like the inside scoop of like what actually happens and how these giant agencies are making an absolute killing is because they land and expand. Like when you look up Salesforce's method of growth, like Salesforce, the multi-billion-dollar sales, CRM, and data company. When you look up their strategy was literally called land and expand. Now, if I'm going to take sales advice, I'm not going to take it from some loser, broke filmmaker on the coast. I'm going to take it from a multi-billion-dollar company with genius executives that are putting this into practice. So this is exactly where the stuff came from. I had a podcast where I interviewed over 75. Yeah, I had 75 podcast guests. I interviewed people that were running multi-billion-dollar companies. I interviewed people that were running $25 million agencies, and they all had one singular thing in common, the ones that were really, really successful. You know what that was? Their first interaction, how they interacted with the customer the very first time, dictated so much of like what was to happen next. And they mastered that initial conversation. And that's how they were able to land the client and then expand the work, expand the scope. So let's get into it. So this is how an expansion call goes. First and foremost, we frame the call. I'm going to walk you through how to do that in a second. Normally, what I see videographers, filmmakers, et cetera, people do is they'll hop on the call and they'll say, do you want a video? Or, hey, so-and-so told me that you wanted a video. Wow, you just completely gave up the entire call. And now the client gets to basically just take a free ride, or prospect gets to take a free ride to basically just either, I gotta say this respectfully, word vomit on you about the idea, which sometimes is fine, or they've officially taken the frame and now they're dictating orders to you. So how do you frame the call? It's really simple. Mr. Client, excited to talk with you today. So basically what I've seen works best on calls like these is I'll start off by asking you a few questions about where you're at currently, where you're stuck, and what you want the next 6 to 12 months to look like from a content perspective. And so what I'll do is I'll show you exactly what I would do if I was in your shoes today and how we would upgrade that. And then finally, if it makes sense, we can talk more about what it might look like for you and I to work together. And so that was like an okay frame, but like you guys get the idea. I'm taking control of the call, not from like a manipulative, narcissistic perspective. I'm taking control of the call because the client wants to feel safe when they invest with you. They want to feel that this person knows what they're doing. This isn't their first rodeo. They're going to take control and they're going to lead me, because literally like you're leading somebody to the result that you want to get for them. So they want to feel led. They want to feel that you've got it under control, and it all starts with framing the call. So once you frame the call successfully, by the way, your calls get 1,000 times easier. So after you frame the call, the next thing you're going to do is get into actual discovery. So discovery, and this is going to be like part 1, and then this is going to be discovery part 2. And like you could say discovery of the project, and this could be discovery of the vision, because the project is a result. Like they're coming to you because they wanted some sort of an outcome. They're like, we wanted a video for our gala. We wanted to document our service company. We need this product shot. There's a reason that they came to you, more than likely, or a reason that they agreed to take the call. So you want to figure out like what that is first and foremost. Figure out, why are we here? What is the initial project you had in mind? And if they don't know, and there is no like quote initial project in mind, which has happened before, then you just immediately move into discovery of like vision. So this is where you're starting to ask more expansive questions around, so tell me what you want the next 6 to 12 months to look like from a content perspective. Help me understand, what products do you guys have that you're looking to sell more of? What's your highest margin product? Walk me through the sales cycle of exactly what happens from when a customer hears about you guys, what happens from then until they close. And if you have background information, this is a really great place to kind of flex and say like, yeah, so do you guys just do this, or that? So like when you can actually come prepared and you can ask questions. So for instance, like I did this with a construction company. I somewhat understand like the bidding processes for construction. So I said, cool. So I'm guessing a lot of this stuff is based on RFP, and that you guys are in a bidding war against probably 3 or 4 other electrical contractors to get the work with the GC. Is that fair to say? So just notice what I did there. I didn't say, so how do you guys get business? Like that's weak. That's weak. And it shows that you didn't do your research. It shows that you don't freaking know. It shows that you don't know how to help the client. And that's a problem. Like they're looking for someone they can trust. And if you show any sign of weakness in the first 30, 40 seconds of the call, like it's seriously an uphill battle for the rest of the time. So do your research so that you can ask thought-provoking questions and questions that make them trust you, because we actually perceive like the level of intelligence of a person based upon the questions that they ask and like how they speak. So if you ask really intelligent questions in the first 30, 40 seconds, first 2 minutes of the call, imagine how they're thinking about you. Imagine how much more positively they're feeling about the experience if they know that you've done at least some baseline research, or if you really understand their problems. So I want to get that right first, because a lot of people don't even take the 20 minutes to research the client, and they come in and it's kind of disrespectful. This client's interested in working with you and you don't do any sort of research to understand their industry, any sort of research to understand them as people. If it's between a company that did that and didn't do that, like, you would lose every single time if you don't. If it's purely just based on, the skills relatively the same, the quality's relatively the same, you'll lose every single time, because people do business with people. So they want to have a nice experience. They want to feel that they can trust you. So we frame the call, move into discovery, first discovering the project, then discovering the vision for what the client has in mind. So if you do discover the project and they're like, hey, we want to do this podcast, like, I'll give you guys an example. Client of ours came in and they're like, hey, we appeared on this podcast. It really worked for us. We ended up making a lot of sales. And so what we want to do is we want to make a podcast. And they kind of spoke about it as like, we want to make a couple podcast episodes or whatever. I took a look at their website. I took a look at kind of their channels of like media and everything. And I said, guys, I love that you want to do this, but to be honest, all we would be doing would be pouring gasoline on a fire that's kind of burning in the wrong direction. So their middle of funnel and bottom of funnel was broken. There was no very clear point of where we're taking the prospect through a journey of understanding the product and the client. In fact, they had 2 separate websites with 3 or 4 different brands. So it was very confusing. And so we had a lot of consolidation work to do, first and foremost, like, just strategically. And then on top of that, I told them, like, we can increase your guys' awareness, but when they get there, like, what are they going to do? Because right now, I know your industry. I grew up in this industry. And I don't know what you guys do. Like, I researched you guys. I put real effort into this. I'm no dummy, but I still have no idea like exactly what you do. I kind of know what you do, but it's confusing. And if it's confusing for me at a high level, someone just kind of like as a passerby, they're not going to spend any time, because we don't want to spend that brain power figuring that out. So what I help them understand is like, there's a video funnel that we need to actually walk people through: the awareness, interest, and conversion. Like, and I'll draw it. You guys have probably all seen this before. Hopefully, if you have done any research marketing wise at all, you have awareness, which is top of funnel. You have interest, which is middle of funnel. And then you have conversion, bottom of funnel. So awareness, interest, conversion. If they're going to be guiding people through this video funnel, through this marketing and sales funnel, we want to make sure that it actually works, right? We don't want to just fill the awareness at the very top and then like people fall out in the middle or don't make it to the bottom. So part of what we expanded into, getting into the expansion call during discovery, this isn't like when we proposed to them, this is the discovery call. I'm saying, hey, I love the idea that you guys want to do this, but I see some, there's some really big opportunities to actually clarify your messaging at the middle and bottom of the funnel. And guys, let me tell you, just by walking them through how this stuff worked, they were like, wow, I feel like we're just learning so much. And if you guys don't understand how this stuff works yet, number one, keep following me. I'll gladly teach it to you, but you need to do your own research too and understand marketing, because video is already commoditized. Then what's going to happen next is even the best videographers will be commoditized. And when that happens, AI is able to basically take you out because of the ability with generative fill and that sort of stuff. The only thing that's going to be left is the people who are the rare combination of videographers, video strategists, and then like marketing managers, CMOs, fractional CMOs, people that actually understand how their creative fits into the marketing mix and how it actually makes the client money. Like, that's the actual skill that you need to be developing in the next 4 or 5 years as AI starts to pick up. That's the biggest hedge against AI. So as I'm educating them, they're feeling not only more comfortable, they're now asking me questions. What do you think about this? What if we did this, Landon? And I said, yeah, I love that. I think we could do this, this, and this. And I'm showing them what's possible. Again, expanding vision, not just doing discovery, expanding vision. So this is the next really key part. And this is a lot of people get this wrong. I think most people just don't even do this at all. But we have to get budget. And this is how it used to go for me. So normally I would say, cool, so what's your budget for a project like this? What are you guys thinking for budget wise? Oh, we don't know. We've never done this before. Okay. And then I would basically kind of be like, I wouldn't have really anything to say. But now, since you guys watched this video, you're going to know exactly what to say. So here's what you say. And I learned this from the legendary Chris Do. So shout out Chris Do. I freaking love you, and you've helped me a ton. So this is what you do. It's really simple. You say, cool, Mr. Client, a project like this that you've shared with me so far could range anywhere from 100,000 down to around 25,000. If we were to put together, a presentation and show it to you next week with, some numbers in between that range, would that make you fall out of your chair backwards, or would that be okay? Or you could say, would that make you spit out your coffee, or would that be okay? And when you say the first number, you will start to see their face of like, holy crap, like they'll be like, whoa, that's a lot of money. Or they're going to be like, yeah, that's pretty much it. And so when I said this to the client that you wanted the podcast, this is when I knew we had a really good chance of winning the deal. I said, it's going to be between 150,000 and about 60, 70, or, I think around 50,000. And I said, would that make you fall to your chair backwards? And ironically, he said, honestly, I'd probably just recline. And I was like, okay, so it looks like I shot way too low. I'm like, I made a joke about it. But it takes the tension out of the room, but it also gives you now verbal permission and commitment from the client that it is okay if you show me a presentation with a $150,000 price tag on it. And of course, like if you guys have ever had the experience where you put a 20K proposal in front of somebody and you never talk numbers, well, then you should never be surprised that you got the sticker shock and then like ghosted because you never got their verbal commitment during discovery. But you notice every time you get verbal commitment, think back to your old calls. Every time you got verbal commitment during discovery, everything was fine. So number one, you have to anchor high. This could be 150K down to around 25K. That's how you anchor high. So then you move on to authority. So cool. That sounds great, Mr. Client. Help me understand, is it you and I that are going to be working on this together, or who are all the other people that are going to be responsible for kind of like getting this across the finish line? So really key word I'm saying there, getting this across the finish line. And example, so let's say I put a presentation together for you guys and, I present it to you. When we get that done, is it you that hits the big green go button, or do we have to have some other kind of like key stakeholders in the room? That's a really nice way of saying, do you actually have the authority to make this happen, or do we have to go to somebody else? Because you don't want to undermine them. You don't want to make them feel less than just because you have to get approval from somebody that's above them. So that's a nice way of saying it is, do you get to hit the big green button on this if we kind of align, or who has to check the boxes before we can move forward? That's a good way to ask the authority conversation. So next, and I'll just put like, if you guys are taking notes, just like big green button. And then you have need. So this is one of the greatest questions you can ask, because there's so many times when people come to you for video or video work, or they want to upgrade their organic marketing, whatever it might be. And they've had the opportunity to do this for years, but they haven't. And there must be a reason why. And so it's your job to actually figure this out during discovery. So this is exactly what I would say if I was talking to the client. So you guys have been in business for, 15, 20 years now, and you guys haven't really invested in video before. I just got to ask, like, why is this something that we have to do now? Why not just kind of kick this can down the road another 3-6 months or whatever, and then just like pause, look at them? And a couple things are gonna be going through their head. Number one, they would be like, wow, nobody's ever actually like caused me to pause when I've been trying to buy something. So you're actually checking them and be like, are you sure you wanna do this? That's really what you're doing. Are you sure you wanna do this? And why do we have to do this now? And what that's doing, guys, is it's subconsciously sending the message of like, I don't really need this. I'm happy to do it for you, and I'm gonna do an amazing job for you, but like, I don't like really, really need it. When it comes to need, you want to make sure that this is something that they actually need. And the other thing, the reason it's kind of like a double meaning of why it's the word need, is you don't want to look needy to them. You don't want to seem like, oh man, if I don't get this deal, I'm not going to feed my family next week. Like, it's called commission breath, and people can smell it from a mile away. So what we do when we ask these questions is we're really pushing back. Number one, to see how serious they are. Number two, to show them that like, we don't really need this deal, but we're happy to do it and we'll do an amazing job for you. That's a really good neutral position to come in when you're trying to close a deal. Okay, so once you've got budget, authority, need, and timeline, this is the crucial step that you cannot mess up. Otherwise, they're going to tell you to email them the proposal. So please get this part right, because it's going to make you a whole bunch of money if you do it. So here's what you do. You say, cool. So if you want, I could put together, a presentation, keyword, not proposal, presentation. I could put together a presentation, with the options that we talked about and kind of break things down for you guys. And we could walk through that next week. But our presentations do have an investment associated. Is it okay if I share that with you? And they're going to be like, what? Like he's going to charge us to put a quote together? This is ridiculous. Like they're going to be kind of thinking that stuff. Yeah, what's the cost? Yeah, okay, not a problem at all. The price of the proposal, the price of the presentation is a decision. Do you think that we could come to a decision point within the next call or two? Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. And now what you've just gotten them to say is absolutely yes, I commit to giving you a decision. But like no one does that. No one does that ever. And the nice thing is they'll take a sigh of relief, like, oh, it doesn't cost any money to get a presentation. It doesn't cost any money to get a quote. And automatically you will be so much different than 98% of people who are out there schlepping video. You're going to be selling something far, far more impressive, and you will stand out from the competition that way. So make sure that you share with them the price of a presentation. Next, last part of the expansion call. Huge part. You have to set what's called the presentation call. During the discovery call, you set the presentation call. So set presentation call. Then what you do is you book an appointment and hop on a Zoom call. Now that you've got the presentation call booked, you're going to move into step number 3, which is called productization. So productization is number 3. You're going to productize the offer. So a lot of people, this is where they get really tripped up. They're either going to send one number, which is going to alienate the customer and make them feel that they need to look elsewhere if they want to get optionality. Number 2, they hyper productize something and they do predetermined productized structures as an offer before they actually have discovery, and they start showing the price sheet or the video, the menu, if you will, before discovery. Again, massive fail. Massive fail. Don't do that. So the best way to do this is to take the information that you had during discovery and put together 3 options: a silver, gold, and a platinum. Silver is everything that they said they wanted. Gold is going to be the information, what they wanted, plus some vision, plus a little bit of, the potential stuff you guys talked about during the expansion part of the call when you were talking about discovering the vision. Then platinum is something that's going to be twice as expensive as gold. And here's why. It's twice as expensive as gold, so that gold looks as a more appealing option. So you've taken care of their basic needs, saying that you would get them something that, within the range that they agreed upon. And it gives them a base project cost to get started. Next, you've got something that they can kind of grow into with gold. And platinum is like, that's nice. It's way too expensive right now. But you guys, you'd be amazed at how many people actually take you up on that platinum offer. Silver, gold, platinum, 3 options, because when there are 3 options, people actually stop shopping around as much and they'll start to look and mix and match inside of the offer that you've put in front of them. Once you've got your silver, gold, platinum options put together, then what you're going to do next is you're going to actually present the proposal. So you've got the presentation call. You're going to walk them through, share your screen on Zoom, walk through every single one. And, we have an entire framework for pricing, an entire framework for proposals to, show you guys exactly how to build this stuff out. If you want to learn more about that, just click the link below, book a call with our team, and we'll show you what it looks like to work with you specifically on the business. I'm just, for the sake of the video, don't have a ton of time to get into it, but it's awesome. And it absolutely makes a difference on your presentation. So next, you're going to present the information in your proposal on a Zoom call. And so when you get done, you'll have your offer stack. They'll be able to make a decision. And let's say that they say, hey, this is great, but we need to go back to the board. I got to go talk to my boss, et cetera, whatever it might be, right? So you do what no one else does. You say, no problem. What we'll do then is we'll just set what's called a next steps call. That way, you guys can go back, make a decision, and then we can pick up from there and get to our decision point. Use better language than that, but you guys get the idea. Set the next steps call. They'll be like, yeah, I'm free this time. That gives them time to go back. Try and do it within 3 or 4 days. Don't wait 2 weeks for a decision point. But yeah, you book the next steps call. That's number 5. And then on the next steps call, you either handle the objections and close the deal and onboard them, or you get your very clear decision and you know exactly what to do from there. But this is a great place to where you can negotiate from that point because you have multiple options that they've seen. So it's a really, really good spot to be in. But this is exactly how the revenue expansion model works. Again, guys, I can't stress enough, like, I was going to put this behind a paywall. I was going to put this behind an opt-in wall. This truly is the model. So if you guys have ever thought about, man, is there another way to sell video? Is there another way to scale my video agency? This is it. And I promise if you use this, you will make more money. Like it's near impossible for you to make less money because so many people aren't doing these basic things. I hope you guys love this. And if you want help actually implementing this into your business, click the link below, book a call with my team, and we would love to help you implement the revenue expansion model into your business. That's all for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one.